Well, how about that? Daz, we had Johnny Newcomb, the Jukinator, with us tonight. That was lovely, and you can go and check that out on any of our socials. But we're here now to talk about the game that was. So Carlton v Hawthorn, and Daz, talking Hawks. We all know it, but here for some passionate footy fans that are here to have some intelligent footy conversation, a few laughs, and just get behind our mighty Hawks. So, Daz, thank you for joining us. Tell us, kick us off, mate. What's the thoughts? It's a heartbreaker when you go down by one, but some promising signs. So,
It was a weird feeling, sort of directly 5 minutes after the siren went, because there's that sort of overwhelming, I think, fan emotion of you're crushed. A 1 point loss is a 1 point loss, but I genuinely believe that when we look back upon our future success, it's a game like this one that we might be able to look at and go, that might have been a catalyst, because 10 minutes into that second quarter, we could have thrown in the towel. We've seen a couple of teams this week who did throw in the towel, having gotten out to that lead, and they just couldn't reel it back. But we didn't give up against an opposition that have got, a better squad than they're maybe given a little bit of credit for. So to get ourselves back into that contest, I think, is what needs to be focused on. Not all that needs to be talked about, because it was a really bad start, as I don't think any Hawthorn fans really need to be told. But I think we're going to look back on this game with a fair bit of pride. I don't think we can let the positives get in the way of the fact that when the final bell went, we were on the wrong side of the ledger. So pretty proud Hawthorn fan at the moment, if not still a little disappointed. Yourself?
Yep. Look, I dipped my lid to the effort and to pull, as you said, from it was a different team from the second, third, fourth quarter, and I can look at the overall positives in that as a game, albeit sadly I didn't tip the Hawks to win that game, and it was closer than I thought. Had we played for 5 more minutes, or the odd decision went our way, it could have been a different story. So I'm glass half full. Looking at that as a game, I'm very happy with some of the signs and the responsiveness tonight. What was interesting, and so fans, let us know some of your, I guess, Keith, tell us what you liked. So here we go, a few questions. Kev,
Did you guys think that you should win that game? I don't think as fans we're ever really entitled to believe that we win a game. I don't think 10 minutes into that second quarter, I barely thought we had the right to be out there. Like, it looked that easy for the Blues. And then a mere 55 minutes of game time later, I think the margin was a goal. And I went, Carlton have got no right to win it. So it literally is. It was a coin flip in the end. We shouldn't have let it get to that point. But to question, should we have won the game, I would probably say no. When you're down by 41 points, I don't think you've, as fans, we really should say we should have won the game. Definitely could have and might have if maybe a few other things went our way. But at the end of the day, let's not escape a 41-point lead that we gave up. So a difficult one, but I don't think we should have won, no.
Yeah. Self-belief, good one, Dan. Development, 100%. It's a building block game. You look at the quality of that midfield of Carlton, and it could have been a very different result. They were just it was all working for them. They were just clunking them all in that first quarter, and then the changes that were made and the application by the players themselves, and I just think that's an incredible fight back. So should agree with you. Should win or should have. Look, it's a fact. What's happened's happened, and the bloody close, good effort, and so very happy. There's mixed emotions. So I think if you said, can we start the season 2-1 against Port and Carlton, you probably would have been pretty happy with being 2-1.
Oh yeah, definitely would have taken it. And considering as well, our percentage is 144. We have a point differential of plus 83, and we've only had one loss for the year, and it's literally the smallest margin. So there can't be an overreaction here. It's a start that no one saw coming. We are 12 spots higher than I think any media analyst not named Lee Montagna gave us any credit for, and there's still a long way to go. So, yeah, I can understand that there's a bit of a lack of hurt there, and I think as much as it's needed to talk about the positives, and there are so many to name, what Sam Mitchell said after the Port Adelaide game, that the statistical anomalies against Port were not sustainable, and we found that out again. Lost contested ball, negative 18 in inside 50s. We conceded 10 marks inside 50. Now, granted, we only conceded 2 in the second half, which is outstanding. We only conceded 2 contested marks for the entire second half. We conceded 6 in the opening 16 minutes. So still, we've got good, we've got the bad. I think at the end of the day, we walk away. I think it's probably better for the development that we ended up not getting over the line than getting over the line in the long run. But yeah, as a fan, it does hurt.
Yeah. I was interested listening to the coaches in the post-game. Vossi basically said the Hawks mostly had their way for the last 3 quarters, mostly due to the Blues' inefficiency. But you don't get inefficiency without pressure a lot of the time. So it's not like they just lost their way that badly. So I think whatever was addressed at quarter time and even half time, you just saw them grind. And if I've got a team that's going to be tough, that's going to put on pressure, that's going to grind, I can get behind that every week. So Carlton's back 6 in the last quarter, held strong. Waiting on Gunston was like irking me.
What a compliment that is, though, to Jack, right? This is a guy that's come off a horrific back injury, that's 30 years of age. We've got a guy that had kicked 8 goals coming into it, and they send not only a number 1 draft pick, but a best and fairest winner and an All-Australian to Jack instead of the informed Mitch Lewis. So what a compliment that is towards Jack. And, as we sit here right now, Carlton could, being the figurative word, they could have 6 All-Australians in this side. Curnow and McKay could go genuinely off for the rest of the year. Cripps is currently leading the Brownlow like he would be. There's just no debate about that. Sam Walsh has been an All-Australian before. Wiedering can be an All-Australian centre-half back. And you'd argue Sam Doherty's start to the year has been All-Australian worthy as well. So, to have our own way for 3 quarters is just, it's unreal. And there is a part of me that goes, does the result really matter? And then the competitive side of me goes, no, bloody does. It really does. And we get to talk about all that. But I think we would get more out of this game than Carlton would at this point in time. I think we were better for longer. We just weren't better when that siren went, and that's what sucks. I think that's the biggest takeaway.
And look, personnel-wise and moving the pieces around the ground, Sammy was limited. He touched on, he said traditionally would have put a Gunston behind the ball. But with only 2 tools, they tried some other things. So in losing Scrimshaw, that one hurts quite a lot.
Yeah, don't underestimate that loss. And Hawks won't. I'm probably talking to the wrong demographic there, because we don't tend to underrate our own players, of course. But if you listened, like me, if you're at home, pretty busy weekend, and you listen to the commentary, the only Hawks players that got spoken about was CJ and Jack Gunston, and that's it. But you look at Scrim, who, Scrim needs to play his role, so James Sicily can be an intercept defender. So CJ can go for a run, because he can play behind that ball. Now, we've got the depth there. Jarman Impey got to come back. We'll talk about that. Harry Morrison can play that role as well. He started the year really, really well. But I hope Hawks fans can understand, respect and love what Scrimmer brings to the team, and the fact that that's going to be a loss that we know about, and hopefully the media catch on to at some point, because he's a star.
Yeah, look, it's and another big that was out, big boy. That's some serious. That's a pig out, as far as his ability to be flexible as well. Mitch talked about Gunston being able to be maybe move behind the ball, but look, it's exciting signs. Still using the corridor, being aggressive, looking for that. Sometimes it didn't come off, sometimes it did, and just seeing it just at centre half back. They're looking inbound. I know. I won't say that, but yeah, it's fascinating just watching it. And look, they defended well through the early part of the game, but we got back into it, which is for me very exciting. So Sam talked about wanting to be a team that scores more than in the 70s, and I understand he's shooting for the 120 mark. But you come against a good opposition, okay. It was decent. So I've got some stats here, but let me just check out a few comments here, Reece. But I'll throw to you for a second.
Yep.
All right. A few questions. Where do you see our midfield, boys? What can change to give us more appearances? Well, first, can I start with
go
Jager on Cripps?
Didn't work.
Well, it's... What are you judging that on?
Well, Titch started on Cripps in that first quarter, and Cripper basically earned 2 of his Brownlow votes off that first quarter alone, if we're being honest. And yeah, Cripps was quieter in the second half, no doubt. And Jaeger on him around the ball was fine.
Yeah.
But the negation of Cripps versus the negation of Jaeger wasn't as spotted. Cripps still had a moment here or there throughout the game. And we're talking about a guy who can win the Brownlow here. So it's not like we're talking about, Joe Blow or your average midfielder, but it didn't work because he wasn't the right guy to go to. If Cripps is going to kill you, let him kick the ball. He can do everything in this game. He's got the size, he's got the strength, he's got this. But you make him kick the ball. When you're tagging Cripps and all he has to do is feed the ball out, Sam Walsh, good kick. George Hewitt, good kick. Adam Chera, elite kick. And they were still able to get threatening entries inside forward 50 based on, and I don't think Jaeger was the right player to go to Cripps. Connor Nash looked the type, but we didn't have a second ruckman with Big Boy, so I get we kind of had to implement on the fly, but we'll walk away from that game, I think, with a fully solidified plan on if we did happen to meet Carlton in a final, whether it's this year, next year, or down the road. I think we've put the plan in place on how we can stop that midfield, and maybe on the day it didn't work as well as it could have, but Cripps was still the best man on the ground, so it didn't work.
Can I ask, what do you do for a standout? Okay, they've got depth, so I'll talk to the hit-outs and a few stats in a moment and things like that, because I think there's a chemistry change or improvement there that's going to come. What would you have done to try and negate Cripps a little bit more, or do you not focus on one player?
Well, you look at what GWS did with Touk Miller. They double tagged him. They duo tagged him, I think was the term they went. So Matt DeBoer went to Touk Miller, and I mean this, and Matt DeBoer can run further in 5 minutes than I can in 20. So I'm not saying this disrespectfully, but Touk was going to run him off his feet. And then they put Lockie Ash on him, who was nicknamed Lockie Dash coming out of the draft. So if you've got that kind of plan, you can go with it. But I think we would have learned more as a side going, no, it's our 3 v your best 3. And if we're not good enough, we'll take a lot out of it. Cripps is going to walk away from this game with 3 votes. I would argue, or 3 or 2, depending on, because Doherty won the Parkin medal. So maybe he gets a 3 and Cripps 2. But George Hewitt was probably the next best on the ground as well. So 2 of the 3 best blokes on the ground of Carlton were still midfielders anyway. Yep. Walsh still had 32, I think, and Matt Kennedy did what he did. So yep. I don't think there was a way to stop. I don't think Cripps is... I don't think you're able to negate a fully fit Patrick Cripps in a game of footy as well. You might if you had someone run with it, a Hewitt or a Chera. But look, we could argue, and I kind of am now, that Jaeger on Cripps didn't really work. At the end of the day, when Jaeger went on him, we ended up outscoring them by 6 goals. So just because that matchup might not have been to my liking, we still got a lot out of it. So it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, and I was coming at that from maybe not fully nullified, but a reduction in output and influence on the game. And so I just liked, yes, maybe limited, as you said, with opportunities, but there's things like this going on as well. You've got some other young kids, and you look at that game with the development lens now, and the exposure just running with some of those boys and getting opportunity to go through the middle. I think that's fantastic, and many players we've seen come through the ranks. We can come back to those boys shortly, but that's great grooming and experience, just learning, observing the blocking, just the little tactics, everything that goes on in and under. It's just fantastic. So agree with you here, Greg. Losing by 1 point to a contender potentially. Great effort. So look, let's jump around a little bit here. Hit outs. Reva 23 with 5 to advantage. Pito 20 with 9 to advantage. Koning 14 and 4. Nash 8 and 1. So I reckon we're going to see some great improvements, and we will end up. I think we've got smart. I was talking with Mel Zimmel earlier. Agree with Mel. We've got some kids in there. If you look at sort of Sammy's maybe influence experience as a player, I reckon we're going to have some good IQ. And continued growth in the footy IQ with a Rob Harvey and a Sam Mitchell and some of these other. There's a lot in the mix there. So I'm looking forward to them being able to read. Doesn't matter whether our ruckmen are winning that hit out or not, but geez, it's a bit delicious. Sorry, Bruce, when you think about what the noodle could do. Advantage.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you look at the natural development of a ruckman or a good ruckman, you hope. So they start off, they're raw, they don't win many ruck contests, but you've got to get them the exposure in the middle. All good. Then they start winning contests, and then they start hitting them to their teammates. That's what you're hoping. Like, that's what the Bulldogs have wanted from Tim English for 4 years, and have only got it for the last 3 weeks. Noodle's currently 5th in the AFL for hitouts. Now, he's nowhere near the hitout to advantage. He doesn't need to be yet. He's already figured out, hey, when that ball's in the sky, I can get to it before you can. The next step, the next natural progression is putting it into the path of what's hopefully going to be our next premiership midfield mix. It's outstanding. And again, it's not going to come, Rome wasn't built in a day. This isn't going to come, next week or anything like that. But we've got a ruckman that is raw. He still hasn't played 12 games yet, I don't think. Don't quote me on that, but I think he hasn't played 12 games yet. Who is 5th in the league for winning the contest. As soon as we get more games into him and he's putting it in the path of his teammates, he's going to be fine. You look at Pito. Like, Pito with the Hawks when he was playing was winning hitouts a little bit, went to Carlton, and you said what? He had 23 hitouts for 9 to advantage. You give Ned Reeves the amount of hitouts that he's got with that hitout to advantage percentage, with that backline that we've got, those forward entries are not only going to increase, the quality of them is going to increase. And as we've seen, our forward line is potent. So if we're looking at guys we can't wait to improve, please, please, please do not forget about Ned Reeves.
Yeah, centre clearance is smashed a bit. Hewitt 6, Pitnet 5, Cripps 4, Kennedy 2, but Jager and Ward 2 apiece. So it's interesting just looking at different aspects of the game. That's one aspect. Meters gained for my impressive CJ 588, Sicily 563, Moore 555, Nuke 480, Warple 520, Hardwick 414. It's an HMO, Harry Morrison 367. There's some really good aspects to that attacking game, and we're seeing it. To have that many players, close to 400 meters gained, I think that's an encouraging sign.
Yeah, it's the epitome of if you see the target, hit the target. And as a fan, I would much rather see us turn the ball over on a 45, trying to kick a goal, rather than kicking the ball down the line, getting outmarked in an 8-man contest. I'd much rather, and I know it'll drive coaches crazy because you open up the corridor, you're going to get scored against. But our back six is that good. Like, we were able to nullify, like a couple of fans have said, a contender to 33 points in 3 quarters. So we're obviously doing it right. So to be able to bite off those kicks and still have that defensive structure behind the ball, it makes us fun to watch. And we've seen so many teams not make finals that are boring to watch, that you don't want to watch them. North are there now. If Adelaide are kind of on the good books because what happened this week, but Adelaide, that Collingwood game was trash. Whereas the Hawks, whether we make the 8 or not, we're probably leaning towards not. Bloody hope we can get there. And I think if things go right, we absolutely can. That 8th spot really is open. we're going to get now 19 more games, because we've got the bye, obviously. We're going to get 19 more games of 2 hours of pure fun footy, which as a fan is all you can ask for first. And then by the time we develop into contenders, who is going to stop us with the foundation that we've got? That's the exciting part.
Yep, Grant's on your wavelength here. Win development, just don't want to cost us in the draft. You're probably not alone there, Grant. But look, we got.
I'll back our development in anyway, any day.
Yeah, let's move a bit quicker, Race. We're getting outrun here by some of these questions. So DJB, many shouted him out. Absolutely, Cody.
Curnow was giving him a bath in that first quarter. Now, it's not all Denver's fault. When you've got no pressure in the midfield, Matty Scarlett struggled to block bikes, right? So that's not a hit on Denver. That second half, Denver played back shoulder. He was living in Curnow's pocket. He used his body really well. And I saw a stat, Footy Freako, not Fantasy Freako. I think it was Footy Freako who said that Denver was involved in 24 contests in the second half. He lost 2 of them. And losing a contest is defined as either your player marking the ball, if it's a one-on-one, or that player finds the ball on the ground and gives off an effective possession. 24 of them, he conceded 2. After that start, no wonder he was a number 6 pick. This kid is a star, and we're loving the way that he goes about it. And, of course, Charlie Curnow was coming off an arguable best-on-ground 5-goal game and was plucking them like a genuine superstar in that first quarter. And then Denver went, not happening today, pal. Amazing effort.
Very impressive for the experience. And, look, it's encouraging when you take out a big boy and, Reeves not covering the ground as much, being able to drop back as opposed to Lynch could have, potentially done that, or the luxury of having a Gunston going back there when scrim goes down. It's impressive in a moment where we needed some, someone to stand up as a tall. It was good. And let me segue to Frosty now. Phenomenal. It's like I've got a top 5 best players. I'm going to rattle off, and I'll hit you up, Race, maybe without notice here. But the unlucky for just to not be included for mine, but I'm like, he did a monster job, a mammoth job, and the size he was given up. Geez, what a competitor!
Well, Harry McKay won the Coleman last year, so you can't be in better form than that. He kicked 4 last week. Hard to be in better form than that. His first 10 minutes, Frost, again, it can't be the backline's fault when they were able to walk through the midfield. But once we started getting pressure on their entries, Frosty was unstoppable and went at 92% disposal efficiency, which is all the more impressive considering, we're being completely honest, and I don't think anyone loves Frosty more than me. He can get the ball in his hand sometimes and we go, this could land in the car park. And the fact that he was able to just hit his targets and make the right decision so quickly, huge tick. And I'm like you. I wish we could do a top 6 and make him 6th, but he just didn't make it for mine. But I hope he doesn't feel underappreciated. Not that I think
Frosty.
We love you, Frosty.
Yeah, big time. Frosty with 9 intercepts, getting some ice in the vein, and just holding his own with the disposal efficiency. Day also on 9. Sicily and CJ with 10, who obviously get a lot of that visibility. Denver with 11 intercepts, if you don't mind. So, look, there's a lot to talk about there. Flip it, inside 50s from going forward now. Brewsty, Moore, wow. Inside 50s, 6 for Bruce. Moore and Newcomb, 5. Warps, Nash, Ward, 4. Titch, 3. Yeah, it's good. Like compared to the inside 50s, compared to them, we did okay in the end. But yeah, for Brewsty, for Brewsty to be doing that, getting a couple on his own boot, scoring ball. He gave up 1 to Connor McDonald. It's great as a leader of the club and of that forward group, standing up, and his connection with Gunston. I just can't get enough. It's just poetry.
Yeah, it's beautiful to watch, and it's amazing because Punky's been, I think, possibly the most. This is going to be a big call, and if this was Kane Corns, everyone would be saying something. Although he wouldn't say anything nice about the Hawks, but I want to touch on him in just a tick. But I think Luke Bruce is the most underrated Hawk from that three-peat because we had the superstars in the midfield, we had the guys down back. Luke Bruce isn't talked about enough because the small forward's kind of a cauldron and he doesn't have the Eddie Betts highlights. That's not what his career's been. But for consistency, longevity, and the fact that this guy stood up in a forward line that had Buddy, Ruff, Gunston in it, and then, of course, Cyril, I think it's an outstanding testament to who he is as a player. You can't teach his footy IQ, and I think I don't think enough people are going to appreciate how good Punky's been until he retires. But much love. The man's a star.
Yep. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Can I ask you a question without notice, Matty, while we're looking up a few more? If the All-Australian selectors, and this is why I'm talking about Kane Corns, because he's recently been put on. So he came out and said that the All-Australians are going to pick blokes in their position. Now, when I heard that, my insta thought was, great, no more midfielders on the half-forward flank. If the All-Australian team was picked right now, are you putting Dylan Moore on a half-forward flank? I'll give you a hint. The correct answer is yes.
He's run, he's goals, his score involvements. He's taking the game on. Like the contested, I don't have these numbers in front of me, but I reckon his contested possessions or just the pressure that he's applying. Statistically, sometimes it doesn't even show. But he's running, he's blocking for. You didn't quite see it on the camera, but I believe there was a block for Gunston. He's led, and then Moore is in the mix, trying to block for Lewis, and then he's handing around. Oh, well, I'll just gobble this one up. And look, he's giving us a spark in that first quarter and second quarter, and it's like he's got an ability to give us a lift. So what's that worth to a team? And he's developing some X factor. It's not just a consistent play now. There's genuinely some X factor.
And genuine point of difference. So, I genuinely believe that if these All-Australian selectors are going to have that integrity, then that one of those half-forward flanks, especially with a guy like Toby Green out, I think Dylan is justifying that champion data elite, which was mocked, not by Hawks fans, but mocked by people in the preseason. I think he's just proven people right. Dilzer, and I think he deserves all the credit in the world. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yep. Brief segue. So today I had a former Hawk player, a friend of Talking Hawks, say that would happily look to join us for a game day catch up. So if you're interested, we'll see if we can rustle up one or two more to happen through the year, and maybe we can get a couple of players, but just an opportunity to take it from an online conversation to face to face. It does happen. 60,000 at the G. I don't
think they'll lease out the centre square for us, Matty, but we can try. Get all the Hawks members in there, all 80,000 of us.
We won't sing Kumbaya. Not we're going to be advocating, anything. It'll be sensible. It might be in a venue where there's a beverage, but we'll have a little bit of fun. So, anyway, coming back to it. So, look, those that are involved in our player syndicate group, you will get some special treatment. But look, and if you're interested, get in touch with us on that. But those that are on the talkinghawks.com, if you come into the website and you've subscribed, you'll hear about it first. So might be limited spots. But anyway, digress. Look, we've been rabbiting on a little bit here, but any key takeaways that we have not covered, fans, that you want to hear about? I'm going to start to touch on the my top five, but Daz, you'll do a write-up on all the players, as you do. You'll give us the star ratings.
Mm-hmm.
Fans, who was your best player? Let us know. I've got HMO as my fifth best. Harry Morrison. Jeez, he's come along. It's coming along.
Contract year. Goodness me, he's putting some dollars on the end of that signature. Goodness gracious.
7 contested possessions. What do you do? 19 disposals at 84%, 367 meters gained. He's doing a lot, and I didn't notice him this much. Let's say this time last year. So pleased for him that he's performing on the paddock. Who you got at number 5, Reece? Daz?
Well, it's not to completely spoil the review. Going back You have put me on the spot here. So I've got I think I had. No, I didn't have Will Day. I think I had Sis at 5. I think. I could be right. I should have prepared this earlier, but I think I had Sis at 5.
A little bit unscripted when we had the opportunity to get.
Well, I'll leave it there because the review's coming tomorrow. So we'll go through your top 5, Matty, and I'll tell you where I think you're right and wrong. And for everyone else that wants to see the rest of the top 5 and the top everyone, all 23 players, kind of hard to do it on screen because of the scapular injury. So, but you can check that out on talkinghawks.com, mate. How's that for a segue? Nailed that. So good. I have to repeat it.
So,
who's your number 4?
I've got more.
That seems low to me.
He had an impact, I guess. Definitely huge in many ways. And then when we needed something, he gave it. So I was torn. Sometimes I'm torn when I look at Titch's game, and I just had to have a really, really close look because I was even tossing between him and Harry Morrison. I was like, where do these boys fit? Because I think they've both had a cracking game. But I think, so Tom Mitchell is my third best for this week. And I think 23, he's running at nearly 70% disposal efficiency, 12 contested. He's at pressure acts 23, if you don't mind.
That was the impressive bit. And considering he played, I think, 34% forward in this game as well. And he's currently at 29% for the year. So the fact that he can still have an impact, he's not just the get it 35 times and do it nothing player that opposition fans seem to complain a lot about. So
fascinating. Yeah. Just one more pressure act above our boy Jai. But so and then I'm going to check some fans here. Am I getting some people agreeing with me or not? Yeah. Here we go.
He does. Yep. Gunston's interesting there. Tossing up between Morrison, Moore, and CJ. Yeah.
Was Gunners the decoy, respectfully. Here we go.
CJ, Sicily, Moore, Duke, Frost. Love the fact you got Frost in there, Cody. You're better than me. Oh, okay. Tom, okay. Thank you for pointing out Connor McDonald. Again, he's probably unlucky to miss my 5, and I won't spoil exactly what I said, but I don't think I've seen a kid that's had more unrewarded runs without complaint on a footy field than I saw with Connor on the weekend. Had 15, kicked 1 goal too, could have had an absolute day out. But that run that he had that set up that goal, he started on the halfback flank in that run, and he didn't get the ball until he was in the goal square. But my God, he deserved it. How good are these 2 young kids that we've got in Ward and McDonald?
Yeah.
Like Ward's second quarter was insane. Connor all day, works his tail off, and we're going to get to the end of the year. And, you can talk about your Dacosses, your Horn Francises, all these guys. I think by the time 22 games come in, when you're looking at growth in players, I think our 2 are going to be at the very top. DGB, unlucky. He was great. He really was. And how good is it, though, that we've got some disagreement, that it's not just the 5 and then a gap and then everyone else? It's fantastic.
Yeah. So I've given 2 to Sicily and CJ my number 1, and maybe it's the flash. Maybe I'm a bit blinded. Maybe it's a man crush on them both. I don't know, but it's. Yes. I actually think they did
both of those, all of those, and every bit of those.
They did perform and in a way we needed, especially with Scrimshaw down. And for mine, when it was coming in thick and fast in the first quarter and things got steadied. Look, the impact across. I guess I took a defensive position first and foremost as I went for a look. DGB and Frosty unlucky to not be included, as is Bruce for mine.
Yeah.
So, look.
Well, a few of the fans have brought it up, and look, I can't speak for anyone else that's maligned this guy. I did, so I'll put my hand up. Connor Nash was our second ruck, lined up on the wing, played centre bounce attendances where he wasn't the ruckman, and I think he started the 4th quarter on the halfback flank. This guy was beating Tom De Conning, who's over 200 centimetres in ruck contests, got 8 hit-outs himself. He's kind of our Mr. Fix-It at the moment, and I appreciate the fact that the fans are pointing that out as well, and I don't know what Connor's ceiling is. I don't know if he's in our next premiership team, what that role would be. I don't know, but all you can look at is what in front of you, is what is in front of you, I should say. And what's in front of me right now is a guy that's not just fighting for his spot, He's fighting to be one of the best half dozen on the park, which is just outstanding to see.
Yeah, a lot of support coming through there, and to like just the physical. It's just he's got a few weapons now, hasn't he? He's got a few things at his arsenal that we can. If he's in and around the ball, I'm actually genuinely excited when I say I'm like kind of not knowing what to expect. Is he going to just take it and run? Is he going to smash someone? Because he's blocking, he's doing a lot. And then just ruck and run and sprint. He's doing it all.
And not everyone needs to be Jack McRae by foot. If you make the good decision, the best outcome will happen, and he does it consistently. So I take my hat off to him.
Yep. Beautiful. Oh, here we go. We just we're gonna navel gaze a little bit here. What do we need in the future to add? Look, someone asked a bit earlier. We didn't get it up on the screen, but not having I've gone blank on Maxi Lynch out there. Really feeling it with Big Boy down as well. So we might need a bit more depth in that, unless there's this new type of ruckman that Connor Nash might be a new mold of, where you do need a genuine running big man that can play multiple roles. So I don't think that's going to happen overnight.
And a concussion's a complete accident, and McAvoy's fractured neck, we didn't find out about until midweek. So that's just sometimes I don't think it's an overreaction to the ruck thing, but can you really draft a ruckman and be like, sit here as the fourth best ruckman on our list, and if two guys go down in the same week, you'll get your opportunity. I don't maybe subscribe to that theory. And when we ask what do we need to bring in the future, I don't think we can know the answer to that question until we know what's going out. So I think our list, as it's built, really good defense, pretty potent forward line. Jacob Kazitsky was our second leading goal kicker last year. Can't get a game. Jackson Callow down there as well. We're looking at pretty closely. He's been good for Box Hill. So there's a little bit of depth there. I don't think we can look at guys who are out of contract, says the guy that wanted Tanner Bruin amazingly. I apologize if it sounds hypocritical, but I think we need to figure out what's going to go before we can figure out what to bring in, because it'd be all well and good to look at, a Tom Green from GWS who's met with Richmond, allegedly, I have to say that. Or do you look at a Jared Berry who's out of contract? He's got a bit of a shoulder injury, but 24, that fits the mold. We can't really say at the end of round 3 to go get, I'll just use Tom Green as the example, because if Mitchell and O'Meara are still there next year, we can't bring them in. I think we have to focus on what goes first before we can answer that question, which will be fantastic to look at. Spend it all on Jackson and Melbourne. Yeah, it's interesting.
We won't spend too long on it. I was made aware today, again, from Mel Zimmel, the son of Stephen Lawrence. I think it's Jerome Lawrence. We playing for Oakley Chargers. We might have a father-son there that we can look forward to. Time will tell. So we'll spend a little bit more time looking into that one for sure. All right, fans. Well, we will wrap it up. And thanks for joining us. It's been a later night than usual, and so we appreciate your involvement. And I hope you're enjoying these reviews and previews. We think that was the consensus from the fans. We're going to avoid the AFL games as best we can, and I hope you can join us for as many of these as possible. YouTube will be the place where we do them all. It might just be a little bit on Twitter and Facebook sometimes, but because we had John Newcomb, if you haven't seen it, get there, get to YouTube, check it out, and let us know your comments. We'd love your support of Talking Hawks. So get in touch if you're willing to give us a hand there, be it financially or you want to get involved with sponsoring some of the players. That's truly helping us with the club being very generous and giving us some access to the likes of Denver and Jai. So we want to keep you informed and keep having some good footy chats over the year. So hold your heads up high, Hawkers. We're going well. It's a good season ahead. And yes, Con, it will be Wednesday night. We'll catch you. I don't have my it all in front of me. Yes, I do. Here it is. Just confirming. So we've got Big preview. Most likely it has. And Chris, looking at the St Kilda taking on the Hawks, 3:20 Sunday at the G. Yeah, so Wednesday night we will be all over that because it's a Thursday game. Thanks, Con. All right, guys. Well, and ladies, thanks for joining us. Have a good week, and we'll catch you Wednesday.
Absolutely. See you guys. Go the Hawks.
Thanks, Daz.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers. Ooh, outro. Here it comes. Doesn't matter. Catch you later.